If you are strapping gear to a motorcycle and riding until the map runs out of pavement, comfort is not a luxury. It is a survival requirement. The motorcycle industry spent decades insisting that suffering through a 600-mile day built character. It does not. It builds back pain. Today we count down the 18 best touring machines of 2027. Radar-guided sport tours, continent-crushing ADV and tour bikes, V-twin couches with heated seats, budget workhorses, and machines that cost more than some people's first homes. And number one, it rewrites what a touring bike can be. Let's start at 18. Kicking off at number 18, 2026 Suzuki V-Strom 1050 Tour. We open with the machine that touring riders recommend to each other in hushed, reverent tones, and then feel slightly embarrassed about, because explaining why a V-Strom is exceptional requires admitting that you got excited about a practical decision, and motorcyclists are supposed to be cooler than that. 1,037 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled 90-degree V-twin. The height-adjustable rider seat is the part pointer, allowing you to dial in the perfect leg geometry that prevents the knee ache and hip cramps that plague taller riders on long cross-country days. Suzuki includes aluminum luggage straight off the showroom floor. Real aluminum panniers, not plastic boxes, not an accessory catalog you need to consult. Actual luggage day one. The V-Strom name has an interesting history. When Suzuki launched the original V-Strom in 2002, the ADV and tour touring market was dominated by BMW and was approximately the size of a modest farmer's market. Suzuki looked at the category and thought, what if we built a capable machine at half the price? The motorcycle world was initially skeptical. 20 years of high-mileage owner testimonials later, the skeptics are quiet. The price? $15,500. For the pragmatic, budget-conscious traveler who wants a bulletproof V-twin with aluminum luggage included and a maintenance history that reads like a list of boring, affordable services, the V-Strom 1050 Tour is the unsung hero of the touring world. Not the most exciting machine on this list, probably the most sensible. One more thing worth knowing about the V-Strom 1050 Tour. The US market for these machines is excellent. Previous owners put serious miles on them and then sell because they are upgrading to the next generation. You can routinely find clean examples with 30 to 50,000 miles for $8,000 to $11,000 that have another 100,000 miles left in them. For the rider who wants maximum value per dollar of touring capability, the used V-Strom market is one of the best purchasing decisions in motorcycling. The sensible opener. What follows found its sensibility in liquid-cooled performance and built it into the biggest bagger in the Indian lineup. Imagine standing in front of a bike you want, the seller swearing it's perfect. That's where riders overpay by thousands on a $10,000 bike. Our buyer's kit tells you what it's really worth, your fair price, and when to walk away. A wrong bike costs thousands. This kit? Just $49. The easiest money you'll ever save. Scan the QR on the right or tap the link in the description. Let's get that bike you've always wanted for even cheaper. Moving up to number 17, 2027 Indian Roadmaster. Indian motorcycle has one of the most dramatic corporate resurrection stories in the history of American industry. Founded in 1901, making it the oldest American motorcycle brand by 3 years over Harley-Davidson. A fact Indian fans have not stopped mentioning since 1903. Indian collapsed in 1953 after a disastrous strategy of trying to sell a range of machines that satisfied nobody. The brand sat dormant for decades, revived unsuccessfully twice, before Polaris Industries bought the name in 2011 and actually figured it out. The Roadmaster is the absolute flagship of that revival. 1,890 cubic centimeters, air-cooled, Thunderstroke 116, V-twin. The 𝗕𝗓𝗬𝗓𝗏 heated and cooled. Touring seats are the part pointer, thermoelectric technology that pumps cold air underneath you and your passenger to prevent what the motorcycle industry politely calls thermal discomfort and what everyone else calls swamp ass in the dead of summer. heated and cooled seats on a motorcycle. In 2027, this exists. The rider who told you in 2005 that touring bikes were getting too soft was not wrong. He was early. The price, $33,000. For the premium buyer who refuses to let extreme weather conditions dictate their travel schedule and demands absolute climate-controlled comfort on two wheels, the Roadmaster is the machine. It is expensive. It is worth it. Indian's climate-controlled flagship. Coming up, Honda solved a different discomfort problem, the one where your left hand stops working after 3 hours of traffic. Arriving at number 16, 2026 Honda Africa Twin ADV Endure Sports ES. In 1988, Honda introduced the original XRV 650 Africa Twin to the public. It was named after the Paris-Dakar Rally, which at the time was the most brutal long-distance motorcycle race in existence. A multi-week endurance event through the Sahara Desert, where finishing was considered an achievement regardless of position. Honda had actually won the Dakar on prototype machines and wanted to sell a street-legal version of that credibility to the public. It worked. The modern Africa Twin ADV Endure Sports ES carries that DNA, but adds something the original never had. You can ride it without ever operating a clutch lever. The dual clutch transmission housing on the right side of the engine is the part pointer. There is no clutch lever, just seamless automatic shifting that eliminates left-hand cramping during 10-hour riding days. 1,084 cubic centimeters, liquid-cooled parallel twin. The DCT system has been refined across multiple generations and now shifts with a smoothness that makes manual transmission riders briefly grudgingly envious before they remember they are supposed to have opinions about this. Electronic suspension, Honda reliability, the kind backed by a global parts network that has never in its history left a customer stranded. The price? $18,500. For the long-distance ADV rider who wants legendary Honda reliability and the physical ease of an automatic transmission without the weight penalty of a larger machine, the Africa Twin ADV Endure Sports ES is the correct machine. Honda's automatic ADV Endure masterpiece. The machine ahead proves that when BMW decides to build an American-style cruiser, they do it with characteristic German thoroughness and a price tag that reflects it. Pressing on at number 15, 2027 BMW R18 Transcontinental. BMW building a big American-style cruiser is one of the more entertaining culture collision events in recent motorcycle history. The R18 launched in 2020, and the motorcycle press approached it with the kind of careful diplomatic enthusiasm usually reserved for reviewing a meal you are not quite sure about. BMW had looked at the Harley-Davidson touring market, looked at their own heritage, and concluded they could do it better with German engineering in a boxer twin that makes the current Harley engines look modest by comparison. 1,802 cubic centimeters air and oil-cooled boxer twin, the largest boxer engine BMW has ever produced in their over-a-century history of building motorcycles. The Marshall Gold Series audio speakers integrated into the front fairing and saddlebags are the part pointer, delivering crystal clear, stadium-quality audio, even at 85 miles per hour. Marshall, the guitar amplifier brand, on a motorcycle. BMW commissioned an actual legendary audio company to develop their touring sound system. The Transcontinental variant takes the R18's enormous engine and wraps it in full touring infrastructure. Large saddlebags, a comprehensive windscreen, a rider and pillion seat that has clearly been designed by someone who understands what 8 hours on a motorway does to a human spine. The price? $25,000 to $29,000. For the rider who wants the sheer physical footprint of a massive bagger, the unique, shaking character of the largest boxer engine ever built, and a dashboard that looks like a vintage luxury automobile, the R18 Transcontinental is a statement machine. BMW's enormous boxer bagger. What follows is a machine Kawasaki built for riders who want all the touring infrastructure at a price that does not require a financial conversation with a partner. Subscribe right now if this list is making you question every touring machine you have ever considered. Every week we go deep into the machines that define the category. Do not miss it. Landing at number 14, 2026 Kawasaki Vulcan 1700 Voyager. The Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager exists because someone at Kawasaki did a survey and discovered a large number of potential touring bike buyers who wanted everything Harley-Davidson was offering, but were ideologically opposed to paying everything Harley-Davidson was charging. This is a large demographic. Kawasaki built them a machine. 1,700 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled V-twin. The frame-mounted fairing with integrated lower wind deflectors is the part pointer. This setup shields your legs and torso entirely, creating an absolute pocket of still air in the cockpit that makes high-speed motorway cruising feel like sitting in a leather armchair someone has placed inexplicably in the fast lane. Full-dress touring rig, trunk, stereo, cruise control, liquid cooling in a cruiser engine, which gives it a refinement 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗜𝗓𝗓𝗡 over air-cooled competitors. The Vulcan 1700 engine is not a particularly exciting power plant, but it is a reliable one. And on a touring bike used for long distances, the distinction between exciting and reliable matters a great deal more than the motorcycle press would have you believe. The price? $20,000. In a market where full-dress touring baggers regularly cross $30,000 and $35,000, the Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager is the machine you buy when you want the experience without the invoice. For the traditional V-twin buyer who refuses to pay the Harley or Indian premium, this is the correct decision. The budget touring bagger. Just ahead, Harley-Davidson proved that their ADV Endure touring program was not a cynical cash grab and included a party trick that every short rider immediately stood up and applauded. Closing in at number 13, 2027 Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250 Special. When Harley-Davidson announced they were building an ADV Endure touring motorcycle in 2021, the reaction from the hardcore touring community ranged from deeply skeptical to outright mocking. Harley, they said, built Milwaukee iron cruisers for people who ate at Cracker Barrel. An ADV Endure bike? From Harley? The jokes wrote themselves and people wrote them. Then the Pan America arrived and the jokes stopped. Because Harley had built something excellent, and the most impressive feature was the one that no other manufacturer had thought to include. 1,252 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled Revolution Max V-twin. The adaptive ride height rear shock linkage is the part pointer, a groundbreaking system that automatically lowers the seat height by 1 to 2 inches when you come to a complete stop. The machine kneels for you, you place your feet flat on the ground with zero effort, the light turns green, you accelerate, and the suspension returns to its normal ride height. Shorter riders who have been excluded from the ADV Endure touring category by 35-inch seat heights suddenly found a machine that accommodated them instead of requiring them to accommodate it. This is the kind of engineering innovation that does not come from chasing lap times. It comes from asking, who is not buying ADV Endure bikes, and then fixing the reason. The price? $20,500. For shorter riders who have always wanted a massive ADV Endure touring machine, but were terrified of the seat height, and for experienced riders who simply want a Harley that can do everything a BMW GS does, the Pan America Special is the machine that changed the conversation. Harley's unexpected excellence. The machine ahead is KTM at full capability, a machine that can wheelie in third gear and still has cruise control for when you are done embarrassing yourself. Barreling into number 12, 2026 KTM 1390 Super AD V-Endure S. KTM's corporate slogan is "Ready to Race," which is Austrian motorcycle company for, "We build road-legal motorcycles that are embarrassingly close to race machinery, and if that is a problem for you, you may be in the wrong showroom." 1,350 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled V-twin, 160 horsepower. The semi-active 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘𝗥𝗧 suspension module is the part pointer. It actively changes damping characteristics on the fly based on rider weight, aggressive acceleration, and heavy touring luggage. The suspension does not have a memory of what it was set to when you left home. It has a real-time assessment of what is happening right now and adjusts accordingly. The 1390 is the culmination of KTM's ADV and Tour touring program, which started in the 1990s with machines considerably less sophisticated than this. The Austrian company has won the Dakar Rally more times than any other manufacturer in history, which is an extraordinary thing to say about a road bike's heritage. The pedigree is not marketing. The pedigree is documented in the desert. It will wheelie in third gear if you ask it to. It has radar cruise control for the motorway sections in between. These two facts existing in the same machine is the entire KTM ADV Endure touring experience in summary. The price? $21,000. For the adrenaline enthusiast who wants a 160 horsepower machine that can behave like an apex predator on the right road and a composed, comfortable tourer on the motorway, the Super ADV Endure S is the highest capability machine at this price point. KTM's barely legal performance machine. What follows went straight for the smoothest engine experience money can buy. 6 cylinders, inline, BMW. Picture it, you buy the bike. It looked clean, it sounded great. 3 weeks later, the bills start. A worn chain, tired forks, a service the seller never mentioned. That's thousands gone on a bike you already paid full price for. Our inspection checklist catches every one of those before you pay, walking the bike like a mechanic. Spend $49 now or lose thousands later. Scan the QR on the right or tap the link in the description. Don't let a hidden problem drain your wallet. Stepping up to number 11, 2027, BMW 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗜𝗔 GTL. BMW's 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗔 GTL is the touring bike equivalent of a private jet. Not because it is the fastest, not because it is the most capable off the asphalt, but because after 400 miles on a 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗔 GTL, your passenger turns to you at the fuel stop and says, "Is that all?" That is the metric. That is the benchmark. 1,649 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled inline-six. The dual-lever front suspension linkage is the part pointer. It separates the steering function from the suspension damping, preventing front-end dive under heavy braking so your passenger never smashes helmets with you in an emergency stop. BMW developed this front suspension architecture specifically because conventional telescopic forks have a fundamental geometry problem. When you brake, the forks compress, which changes the steering geometry, which changes how the machine handles. The dual lever decouples those two events. The inline-six configuration is unique in the motorcycle world. BMW are the only manufacturer currently offering it in a production motorcycle. They introduced the K-Series inline-six concept in 2011 and have been refining it ever since. The result is an engine that produces its power with an almost supernatural smoothness. No vibrational frequencies, no intrusive mechanical character, just a seamless surge of power that feels more like electricity than combustion. The price? $28,000. For the rider who views a cross-country trip like a private jet flight and demands the smoothest, most sophisticated engine in motorcycling, the 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗔 GTL sets a standard that nothing else currently matches. A practical touring note, the 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗔 GTL is one of the few motorcycles on this list where the passenger experience is equivalent to the rider experience. The pillion seat is positioned and shaped for long-distance comfort. The passenger has their own backrest, their own footboards, and access to the heated seat system. BMW designed this machine for couples who tour together, not riders who tolerate passengers. That distinction matters after day 3 of a week-long trip. 6-cylinder German engineering. Cresting the top 10 at number 10, 2026 Moto Guzzi Stelvio. Moto Guzzi is the oldest European motorcycle manufacturer still in continuous production. They were founded in 1921 by Giorgio Guzzi and his friend Carlo Guzzi. Giorgio's idea, Carlo's engineering genius. The eagle badge on every Moto Guzzi is a memorial to Giorgio Guzzi's brother, who died in a plane crash in World War I before he could see the company he inspired brought to life. Every Moto Guzzi you have ever seen carries a ghost on the tank. That history matters because the Stelvio carries it too. 1,042 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled transverse V-twin. The electronically adjustable windscreen is the part pointer. With a simple thumb toggle, you tune the cockpit airflow on the fly, eliminating helmet buffeting as the weather changes throughout a day's riding. Radar cruise control. Cornering ABS. Modern touring technology wrapped around a mechanical character that remains unmistakably Guzzi. The transverse V-twin gives the Stelvio a unique property. The engine torques sideways when you blip the throttle, a subtle physical sensation that Guzzi riders describe as addictive and that riders from other brands describe as interesting and then quietly mention when they switch brands later. It is not for everyone. Nothing truly characterful ever is. The price? $16,300. For the rider who wants the unmistakable vibrating soul of a Moto Guzzi with modern touring technology and wants a machine with a story worth telling at every fuel stop, the Stelvio is the correct purchase. Italian soul with a ghost on the tank. What comes next is Kawasaki with a different kind of ambition, the perfect seat for the long haul. Hit that like button right now. We are in the top 9, and the machines from here represent the absolute best of what touring technology has produced in 2027. One tap helps push this toward every rider planning their next big journey. Surging into number 9, 2027, Kawasaki Versys 1100 SELT Plus. Kawasaki has been building the Versys platform since 2007, and the consistent feedback from the touring community across those years has shaped every iteration of the machine. The 1100 SELT Plus is what happens when a manufacturer actually listens to what long-distance riders say about saddle sore. 1,099 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled inline-4. The 𝗕𝗄𝗧𝗢𝗕 touring rider seat is the part pointer, utilizing a dense urethane foam specifically designed to distribute rider weight perfectly and prevent the painful pressure points that ruin 500-mile days. This sounds like a minor detail until you have spent 8 hours on a badly shaped seat and arrived at your destination unable to sit down for 30 minutes. Then it sounds like the most important engineering decision on the machine. The 1100 displacement upgrade from the previous generation gives the inline-4 more torque at lower RPM, which matters specifically on long touring days, where you are spending most of your time in top gear cruising at motorway speed, rather than exploring the upper third of the rev range. Less effort for the same result over 8 hours equals considerably less fatigue. The arithmetic of touring? The price? $19,500 for the pragmatic touring rider who wants extreme Japanese 4-cylinder reliability paired with upright, relaxed ergonomics, and a seat that was designed by someone who had ridden the previous version for 500 miles and had notes. The Versys 1100 SELT Plus is the correct machine. Kawasaki's ergonomic engineering. The machine ahead came from Suzuki, who finally built the tall sport touring crossover that their GSX-R faithful had been quietly requesting for years. Climbing to number 8, 2026 Suzuki GSX-S1000GX Plus. Suzuki has a long and distinguished history of building extremely fast inline-4 motorcycles and then watching their most passionate customers develop back problems in their 30s and quietly disappear from the brand. The GSX-R series produced generations of loyal riders who eventually had to choose between their motorcycle and their spinal health. For many years, Suzuki offered them nothing in between. The GSX-S1000GX Plus is the belated solution to that problem. 999 cubic centimeters, liquid-cooled inline-4. The Suzuki 𝗕𝗨𝗬𝗘𝗏 electronic suspension. Sensors are the part pointer, reacting in milliseconds to smooth out road imperfections, delivering what the engineering team describes as a magic carpet ride over broken pavement, and what a former GSX-R owner would describe as an apology letter from the brand that hurt their back for 15 years. The GX Plus keeps the essential character of the GSX-R engine, that high RPM inline-4 scream that other engine configurations simply cannot replicate, while adding upright ergonomics, a wind-deflecting fairing, and electronic suspension that does the compliance work that used to be done entirely by the rider's spine. The former sport bike rider gets their brand back. Their back gets a rest. The price? $18,500 for the former GSX-R rider whose knees can no longer handle rear-set foot pegs, but who refuses to give up the screaming inline-4 top end. The GSX-S1000GX Plus is the machine that should have existed a decade earlier than it did. Suzuki's apology to the sport bike community. What follows is Ducati at the peak of Italian ambition, a machine with a radar system watching your blind spots. Pushing toward number 7, 2027, Ducati Multistrada V4 Grand Tour. Ducati's origin story is one of the more unusual in motorcycle history. The company started in 1926 as a manufacturer of radio components. They supplied electronics to Mussolini's Italian military during World War II, which went badly for everyone involved, and their factory was bombed by Allied forces in 1944. They rebuilt, pivoted to small motorized bicycles to get the war-ravaged Italian population moving again, and eventually became one of the most technically prestigious motorcycle manufacturers in the world. The Multistrada V4 Grand Tour carries that technical ambition into the touring segment. 1,158 cubic centimeters V4 Gran Turismo engine, the blind spot detection. Radar hidden cleanly in the tail section is the part pointer. It illuminates LEDs in the mirrors to warn you of vehicles hiding in your highway blind spots. An Italian motorcycle with a radar system watching your back. Ducati went from radio components to motorcycle radar in about a century, which is a glow-up the history books should acknowledge more. 170 horsepower on a touring motorcycle. To put that in context, a 2007 Ford Mustang GT produced about 300 horsepower from a 4.6-liter V8 with considerably more weight and considerably less sophistication. The Multistrada Grand Tour produces 170 horsepower from a 1.1-liter engine that weighs roughly what the Mustang's alternator weighs. The price? $28,500. For the wealthy enthusiast who wants a 170 horsepower Italian thoroughbred with a radar system and enough luggage capacity to ride from New York to California, the Multistrada V4 Grand Tour is the machine. Italian radar-equipped excellence. Coming up, Triumph solved the touring range problem with an approach that is almost offensively simple: a massive fuel tank. Bearing down at number 6, 2027 Triumph Tiger 1200 GT Explorer. The Triumph name has a complicated history. Founded in Coventry, England in 1885, initially as a bicycle company, because everyone was a bicycle company in 1885, Triumph became one of the most celebrated British motorcycle brands in history. Steve McQueen jumped a Triumph in The Great Escape. Marlon Brando rode one in The Wild One. The brand was essentially the definition of motorcycling cool for 2 decades. Then British industrial management got involved in the 1970s, and the whole thing collapsed in 1983. The name was bought by John Bloor, a property developer who had never worked in the motorcycle industry, who spent 8 years secretly building a brand new motorcycle company in a small factory while saying nothing to the press. Triumph relaunched in 1991 with entirely new machines and has been building increasingly excellent motorcycles ever since. 1,160 cubic centimeters, liquid-cooled T-plane triple. The 7.9-gallon aluminum fuel tank is the part pointer, providing a staggering 350-mile range that allows you to bypass remote fuel stations entirely. The T-plane triple engine fires in an irregular pattern that generates a torque curve more similar to a V-twin than a conventional inline-3, giving the Tiger its distinctive character, not the anonymous, perfectly smooth power delivery of a larger engine, but something identifiable, something with a pulse. The price? $23,500. For the remote distance rider who wants upright ADV ergonomics, 350 miles between fuel stops, and an engine that sounds like it means what it is doing, The Tiger 1200 GT Explorer is the machine. 350 miles of range. The machine ahead added radar to the technology stack and did something clever with Yamaha's triple in the process. Roaring into the top 5 at number 5, 2027 Yamaha Tracer 9 GT Plus. Yamaha built the CP3 engine, the cross-plane concept inline triple, and the engineers were apparently so pleased with what they had created that they decided it should go in everything. The MT9 Street Naked, the Tracer 9 Sport Tour, the XSR9 Retro, the same fundamental power plant in machines with different personalities, which either proves that the engine is extraordinarily versatile or that Yamaha found a formula and has been sensibly milking it. Probably both. 890 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled, CP3 inline triple. The radar-linked unified braking system is the part pointer, a forward-facing radar unit tucked into the front cowl that automatically applies braking pressure to maintain a safe following distance when using adaptive cruise control. Not just cruise control. Adaptive cruise control that slows down when traffic slows down. On a motorcycle, the technology that premium cars added in the 2010s arrived on a mid-range motorcycle in 2027. The Tracer 9 GT Plus is built on the thesis that you should not need a 900-pound motorcycle to tour comfortably. It weighs significantly less than the big luxury tourers on this list, which means it is easier to manage at low speed, in car parks, and at the end of a long day when your fine motor control has left the building. The trade-off is a slightly smaller wind bubble and less storage. For riders who prioritize agility over amenities, that is not a trade-off. It is a preference. The price? $16,500. For the canyon-carving sport rider who wants to slice through twisties on Saturday and ride 500 miles home on Sunday without their lower back staging a protest, the Tracer 9 GT Plus is the machine that makes both days equally good. Yamaha's radar-equipped lightweight. The machine ahead is the classic American bagger, Harley's aerodynamic masterpiece that was designed in a wind tunnel. Subscribe right now. We are entering the top 4, and the machines from here represent the absolute pinnacle of what the touring world offers in 2027. These are the machines that the rest of the industry measures itself against. Charging into number 4, 2026 Harley-Davidson Road Glide Limited. The Harley-Davidson Road Glide exists because someone at Harley-Davidson in the 1990s sat on a street glide for 8 hours and noticed that the fairing was wobbling in the wind. The street glide's fairing mounts to the forks, which means every crosswind gust, every passing lorry, every aerodynamic event that the front of the motorcycle experiences goes directly through the handlebars into the rider's hands and arms. After 8 hours of this, your hands are tired in a very specific and annoying way. The Road Glide solved this with a frame-mounted fairing. The shark nose design bolts to the frame, not the forks. Crosswinds never translate into handlebar wobble. Passing lorry blasts never shake the bars. You can ride one-handed at 80 miles per hour, and the handlebars do not react to aerodynamic events. Harley called the fairing design the shark nose, and it has looked exactly the same since the 1990s, because there is no good argument for changing something that works. 1,868 cubic centimeters, 114 cubic inch, twin-cooled Milwaukee, 8 V-twin. The infotainment system you can hear clearly at highway speeds. Massive luggage capacity. The unmistakable rumble that Harley has been legally unable to trademark, but emotionally owns regardless. The price? $32,500. For the traditionalist who demands that unmatched V-twin rumble, needs a machine with the presence to command respect on the interstate, and wants an infotainment system that does not require plugging headphones into the tank bag. Imagine walking into a viewing holding all the cards. You know the fair price, you know your opening offer, and you know the exact number where you walk away. That's how you knock hundreds, even thousands off the asking price. Our buyer's kit hands you those numbers for just $49. Negotiate from facts and never overpay again. Scan the QR on the right or tap the link in the description. Ride away knowing you got the best deal. The Road Glide Limited is the definitive American touring bagger. The definitive American bagger. What follows is Indian's answer to the same question. A machine built with a chassis-mounted fairing and enough performance to embarrass sport bikes. So close at number 3, 2026 Indian Pursuit Limited. When Indian Motorcycle relaunched in 2013, they had a strategic problem. They needed to establish credibility against Harley-Davidson, a brand with a 100-year head start on emotional attachment and customer loyalty. Indian's solution was elegant. Build a better motorcycle and make the comparison obvious. The Pursuit Limited is the machine that makes the comparison most obvious. 1,768 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled Power Plus V-twin, producing 122 horsepower. The chassis-mounted touring fairing is the part pointer, bolted directly to the frame rather than the forks, eliminating the handlebar wobble that crosswinds produce on fork-mounted designs. Indian read the Road Glide's engineering logic and matched it. The Power Plus engine is Indian's own design, developed from scratch when they needed a modern liquid-cooled power plant competitive with the Harley Milwaukee 8. They achieved this and went further. The Power Plus produces more horsepower than the Milwaukee 8 in an engine that runs cooler, vibrates less, and responds to the throttle with a sharpness that reflects the fuel injection calibration's modernity rather than its age. Indian also has a history that Polaris has been careful to honor. The brand was founded by George Hendy and Carl Oscar Hedstrom in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1901, making it the oldest American motorcycle brand. The first Indian covered a measured mile in 1901 at a speed that made newspaper headlines. The brand that won Daytona in 1904 is still building competitive machines in 2026. The price? $34,999. For the American V-twin fanatic who wants 122 horsepower, the wind protection of a premium luxury tourer, and the satisfaction of riding a machine with a better origin story than almost anything else on this list, the Indian Pursuit Limited is the machine. The Ride Command infotainment system deserves a specific mention because it is one of the more capable systems in the bagger category. A 7-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay, Bluetooth audio, navigation, and a tire pressure monitoring system that displays both tires on the main screen. The radio includes 50 watts of audio power, audible at motorway speed without requiring earplugs to manage the volume. These are the details that matter on a machine people use for multi-week journeys. Indian's flag bearer at number 3. The machine at number 2 is Honda's engineering masterpiece, a flat-6 luxury couch that has been outselling the competition since 2001. And up at number 2, 2027 Honda Goldwing Tour. The Honda Goldwing is the machine that proved you could build a luxury automobile experience on 2 wheels if you were patient, thorough, and willing to spend the kind of engineering resources that most manufacturers reserve for flagship automobiles. Honda introduced the first Goldwing, the GL1000, in 1975, with a flat-4 engine and a chassis so sophisticated for its era that the motorcycle press spent several months trying to articulate what exactly Honda had done differently. What Honda had done was apply car-level engineering ambition to a motorcycle. A liquid-cooled engine, shaft drive, a smooth, balanced layout that prioritized comfort over the traditional sport bike focus on weight minimization. The Goldwing was not trying to be fast, it was trying to be effortless, which turned out to be the thing touring riders actually wanted more. The 2027 Goldwing Tour uses a 1,833 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled flat-6 engine that produces its power with a turbine smoothness that no other engine configuration in motorcycling achieves. The double wishbone front suspension is the part pointer. By ditching traditional telescopic forks, this system isolates the handlebars from harsh road impacts and eliminates front-end dive under heavy braking. Your passenger never smashes helmets with you in an emergency stop. Honda developed this suspension specifically for the Goldwing because the Goldwing's riders asked for it over decades of ownership surveys. There are documented examples of Goldwing GL1800 engines exceeding 300,000 miles on the original bottom end. Not frequently, but often enough that the Goldwing ownership community has a specific forum section dedicated to it. Honda builds this machine like it has something to prove about Japanese engineering philosophy, and the 300,000-mile bottom ends suggest the philosophy is working. The price? $29,000 to $33,000. For the ultimate two-up traveler who measures road trips in weeks, demands turbine-smooth engine performance, and wants a machine with a 50-year track record of making people question why they ever rode anything else, the Goldwing Tour is the standard. The Goldwing sets the luxury touring standard. And yet the machine at number one makes a different argument, and it is a persuasive one. And saving the absolute best for number one, 2027 BMW R1300 GS ADV and Tour. The BMW GS story starts in 1980 with an engineer named Rudi Gucci, who noticed that the Paris-Dakar Rally was attracting enormous public attention and suggested BMW should build a production machine with rally-derived credentials. BMW's management responded with the kind of institutional caution that large German companies are famous for, which is to say they almost said no, thought about it carefully, and eventually said yes in a way that produced one of the most significant motorcycles in history. The original R80G/S, launched in 1980, weighed 260 pounds and looked like what would happen if you attached a sidecar outfit suspension technology to a motorcycle without the sidecar. It won the Paris-Dakar Rally. It embarrassed more sophisticated-looking competitors on terrain they had no business crossing. The formula was correct from the first attempt. The 2027 BMW R1300 GS ADV and Tour is what 47 years of continuous development of that correct formula produces. 1,300 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled boxer twin. The automated shift assistant actuator on the transmission is the part pointer, a system that entirely removes the clutch lever and foot shifter, eliminating left-hand fatigue during brutal stop-and-go highway traffic. You simply change gears with your foot, no clutch. The machine manages the clutch engagement automatically. The GS ADV and Tour variant adds a larger fuel tank, more suspension travel, and a chassis calibrated for the additional weight of full touring luggage, plus a passenger and their luggage. It is specifically designed for the scenario where you cross 3 state lines on the motorway and then immediately tackle 100 miles of gravel without changing tires or reconsidering your route. The GS is the best-selling large displacement motorcycle in the world. This is not a coincidence. It is the result of BMW correctly identifying what a large proportion of motorcyclists actually want: a machine that does everything well rather than one thing excellently, and then building it better than anyone else for over 4 decades. The price? $22,500 to $26,000. For the uncompromising explorer who wants to cross 3 state lines on the motorway and then immediately tackle 100 miles of dirt without changing plans, without changing tires, and without calling for assistance. The BMW R1300 GS ADV and Tour is the machine. It was the answer in 1980. It is the answer in 2027. It will probably still be the answer when they make a 2037 version. Continue the ride and click on the next video showing on your screen right now to learn the buyer's guide that helps you save hundreds or even thousands of dollars on your next motorcycle.